Enter the Ninja from 1981 is basically the movie that kick-started the entire ninja craze of the early 80s. And if you're around for it, you know what all of that was like. So this one basically stars Franco Nero and Sho Kosugi. It opens in an incredibly secretive ninja training academy somewhere in Japan. And we see Franco Nero going through the motions as he attempts to get his ninja certification, his ninja license. So we see Franco basically kick and chop and stab and nunchuck his way through a bunch of fellow students in order to prove his ninjutsu prowess. And Franco Nero, of course, does this with ease, much to the chagrin of fellow student Sho Kosugi, who feels that I guess he feels that an Italian actor who appeared in Django and a bunch of Italian crime films is not fully qualified in any way, shape or form to be a ninja. But it is what it is. Franco does get his ninja certification, his ninja license, his license to be a ninja, his license to kill, and that's how the movie begins. And then we see Franco Nero. He's off to visit an old war buddy in the Philippines, of all places. And instead of just knocking on the door like any sane sort of person would, Franco Nero jumps the fence, and his mate's wife, played by Susan George from Straw Dogs, she's greeting him with a shotgun, basically, a pump-action shotgun. And why wouldn't you, after the events of Straw Dogs? So Franco Nero, just so that she doesn't feel out of place in this movie, he greets her by inexplicably tackling her, disarming her and groping her, which is really bizarre, before being reunited with his old army buddy, who's now an alcoholic. They're running this coconut farm, of all things, in the Philippines, and basically being stood over by the local goons, led by a guy with a hook for a hand, of all things. And little do they know that the boss of the goons, played by Christopher George from City of the Living Dead, from Pieces, and of course from Grizzly, is plotting to buy their land for a song, because basically he's learnt that the land sits on vast deposits of oil. So it's the old blood for oil chestnut, the plot of this one. So basically that's the setup for Enter the Ninja. So we have Franco Nero, a stranger in a strange land. We have a lot of white suits in this movie as well, for some reason. Apparently they got a good deal on white suits. And Franco Nero, of course, is the white ninja in this movie, except for when he isn't the white ninja. And in those cases, of course, there's a stuntman that kind of looks like Franco Nero, but does lack the obligatory Franco Nero bushy moustache. So this one's a curiosity. It's quite an important footnote in martial arts cinema, because it did kickstart the whole ninja craze of the early 80s. I'm sure you'll remember there were ninja movies, left, right and centre. There were ninja toys. There was ninjutsu being taught, or at least a bastardised version, in martial arts schools all around Australia. And it kick-started martial arts in general, helped the Bruce Lee mythos along as well. So in the early 80s, it really was all Bruce Lee and ninjas when it came to martial arts. And of course, this was the days before the UFC and the whole Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and mixed martial arts craze. So back in the more innocent times of the early 80s, it was all about Bruce Lee, it was all about ninjas, and it was all about quickie ninja movies, much like this one. So this one was Cannon Films' first ninja movie of their Ninja Trilogy, followed of course by Revenge of the Ninja and Ninja 3, The Domination. And these movies made an immense amount of money for Cannon Films. In a sense, Enter the Ninja was a kind of prototype for the American ninja movies that had come along a bit later. And there really would be no Michael Dudikoff, I guess you'd say, without Franco Nero and Enter the Ninja. So tonally, this one's quite an unusual, quite bizarre movie. You'll be forgiven for thinking when you're watching it that only the first 5 minutes have anything to do with ninjutsu, because most of this movie is basically about a weird three-way relationship between Franco Nero and his Vietnam buddy mate, and his Vietnam buddy mate's wife, played by Susan George from Straw Dogs. So there is that bizarre scene when they first meet, when Franco Nero disarms poor Susan George and cops a feel at the same time, which is quite surreal to say the least, and something that was quite unexpected as a kid and is still quite unexpected now. But that was the early 80s, that was Cannon Films, and that was ninja movies. Ninja movies often had these quite bizarre plot structures and plot points and setups, and Enter the Ninja's no different. So a few other notable things about this one: it does make heavy use of the I believe it's called the Solar Tower in the Philippines. So if you're ever in the Philippines, you should add the Solar Tower to your bucket list if you're a fan of Cannon's ninja movies, especially Enter the Ninja. Franco Nero is an unusual casting choice. As I said, best remembered for, well, probably most well remembered as Django in the spaghetti westerns and other spaghetti western roles, and for his roles in Italian crime films. So this one's quite unique in being what I believe is his only ninja movie, and primarily because Franco Nero isn't a ninja, he's an Italian actor with a natural talent, a natural strength for things like spaghetti westerns, for Italian crime movies, and basically anything but a ninja or martial arts movie. He's about as qualified for those as fellow Anglo martial arts actors like David Carradine and John Saxon and James Coburn. There was always a strange obsession, not only in Hollywood but also in Israel with Cannon Films, to shoehorn Anglo actors into these martial art movies, when we all know it would have been a lot easier to just cast a qualified Asian either ninja or kung fu star. And Sho Kosugi is the prime example of that in this one. He plays second banana to Franco Nero, when really, and Cannon Films wisely realised this, they should have cast Sho Kosugi all along, which is why he does play the lead role in Revenge of the Ninja, and why he turns up again in Ninja 3, The Domination. But of course they forgot that lesson for Ninja 3, The Domination, because they did cast Lucinda Dickey, who similarly had about as much martial arts prowess as Franco Nero as the lead ninja practitioner in that movie. But they did get it right in Revenge of the Ninja, making it a completely Sho Kosugi joint, which is why Revenge of the Ninja is basically the Empire Strikes Back of the Cannon Films Ninja Trilogy. Ninja 3, The Domination has its fans, but they're fans for entirely different reasons, whereas martial arts fans tend to gravitate towards Revenge of the Ninja. So this one was a huge financial success, not so much a critical success or a success in terms of longevity, I guess. It has been largely forgotten, even by a lot of martial arts fans, despite being such a heavy influence on the ninja craze of the early 1980s. And that's a bit of a shame, because it is a interesting movie. It's an entertaining movie. It's one that you won't forget in a hurry, and it's one that is certainly worth revisiting if you haven't seen this one before, or if you haven't seen it in a while. Franco Nero never looks entirely comfortable in this one, as you'd expect. He's basically handling these dramatic scenes where he's overdubbed for starters, and he's for the most part left high and dry when it comes to the action scenes, because he is, as I said, he is stood in for by a stand-in with, I guess you'd say, more legitimate martial arts prowess, more legitimate ninja prowess. A lot of white suits in this movie. I can only assume that Canon Films got a good rental deal, or a good purchase deal, or a good product placement deal from a local white suit tailor in the Philippines. They must have picked these things up for a song, because virtually everyone in the movie is wearing a white suit. And Franco Nero, of course, wears a white ninja suit. Christopher George chews up the scenery in this one as the evil big businessman slash hood that's trying to swindle Franco Nero's mate and Franco Nero's mate's wife out of some very valuable land that's sitting on a vast oil field, apparently, in the Philippines, and trying to swindle them out of it for next to nothing. So he chews up the scenery. Christopher George has some of the best scenes in the movie. My favourite scene has to be when he's just learned that Franco Nero is a ninja, and he's basically saying, why can't I get my own ninja? Where can I find a ninja? Where can I recruit a ninja? And he does send his emissary off to Japan to track down his own ninja, just so that he can hopefully take out Franco Nero. So all in all, this one's a bit of fun. Tonally, as I said, it's a lot different to your average ninja movie. In fact, you've got a bunch of ninjutsu in the first 5 minutes, with the entire sequence where Franco Nero is attaining his ninja license. It was particularly interesting getting to see how someone does attain a ninja license. And when you get your ninja license, it isn't a photo ID like your driver's license or anything like that. It's kind of this big long scroll, which does seem a bit cumbersome to carry around in your black or white or camouflage ninja suit at all times to prove that you're a ninja in case it's called into question. But interesting plot point nonetheless. So there's that whole sequence that's chock full of ninjas. Then the ninjutsu elements die off, and it becomes like a, I guess, a paint-by-numbers Roadhouse-style action movie where you've got the old chestnut of the local businessman trying to force another businessman out of business, first by trying to buy them out, then by trying to knock them out, literally. And that's where Christopher George goes with this one, with his hired goons, like the guy with the hook hand. And then it sort of sits in that territory for a while before finally remembering it is a ninja movie and going back to very familiar ninja territory with Franco Nero taking on Christopher George in a rather mismatched climax. So that's about all I've got on Enter the Ninja. It is one of the more intriguing examples of ninja cinema, purely because it did kickstart really an entire genre, at least in the West. And kick-started a cavalcade of Ninja action figures, Ninja toys, plastic swords, plastic shurikens. I think we all remember those from the Royal Easter Show or from wherever your local regional fairs or shows were taking place. And Ninja show bags are still popular to this day. And it's pretty crazy that all of that is largely thanks to this movie, which is Enter the Ninja from 1981. Canon Films' first foray into ninja folklore and ninja movies. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have any thoughts on Enter the Ninja, if you've seen Enter the Ninja, if I forgot anything important about Enter the Ninja, any bits of trivia that I've missed, or any perhaps any special memories of Enter the Ninja you may have. Maybe you saw it at the drive-in or at your local cinema. Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, by all means, help a brother out and like, share and subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Take it easy.